Thank you, Shane, for that great Saskatoon welcome to the good, the bad, and the orange. Today we have a room of celebrities, icons, people that are looked up to globally. With us today is the chairperson of the board of Long Companies and a friend of the Orange Vortex, Rosey Koberlein. And I call her our den mother, Ann Sullivan, who is Senior VP of Franchise Connection Support and Girl Scout cookie selling. And they represent, for us, our leadership, people that we look up to and who mentor us. And so Ann, who is we decided she's a native Wilcoxian. So she's originally from Wilcox. And if you've ever been through Wilcox,
Arizona.
Yes, you'd only go there to do what?
Apple Annie's.
Yeah, we farmed and had cattle, but now there's a very expensive race car track there that people pay $50,000 a year to join.
And of course wine, right?
Now there's wine, not when I was born.
Yeah. You weren't racing cars and you weren't drinking wine when you were born.
Nope.
Well, maybe you were drinking wine. It's probably was Boone's Farms.
Just riding horses and chasing cattle.
And Rosey she's actually East Coast originally.
Born in Pennsylvania.
And then Cleveland, which again makes me think of the Bowling for Soup song. There's nothing wrong with Ohio. And then California.
Yep, Bay Area.
And which she told a wonderful story about how she got fired twice from real estate, which you can't get fired from real estate, only your clients can fire you, but how she actually did the company a favor getting rid of, because she didn't know the politics. Sometimes the politics get in the way of our great decision making. And then to Tucson, and from salesperson to sales manager to CEO to chairman of the board, and then she's made the effort to just fly here to talk at our Pinnacle Peak Luxury Tour and be on our podcast. So tell me what you two, when you moved here, Rosey, and what you've seen, Ann, from the days of Wilcox. You've seen all this change in Arizona. So we have people moving here from all over the country, and I moved here 11 years ago, and I look how much it's changed. I can't imagine from when Rosey, 20, 30 years ago, it's changed. And you who've watched Wilcox come from farming to racetracks, what do you think is the number one misnomer people have about Arizona that you could change for them?
Well, that's really a big question, and yeah, it really is. And when I got here in 1990, what I would say is I could not find a decent cup of coffee, because I was coming from the Bay Area where you could get coffee on every corner, and so that was I felt like a big hardship. Now that has just changed enormously. We have fine dining, we have lots of really good adventures and that kind of stuff. Tucson is the only city in the United States that got the International Gastronomic Award.
Really?
Yeah. It's the only city in the United States, and there's lots of reasons for that, from natural seeds to agriculture to the grouping of individually owned restaurants and promotion of that kind of sorts. So I think the misnomer that people may have of Arizona is that that we're pretty stuck in terms of politics and ideas, and that is very far from the truth. We're a very, very diverse community, very diverse state. I love that we're so diverse, and that gives a beauty and a strength to the state.
It's interesting you say that. I always say Arizona's a place where they say just do what you love, but leave me alone, meaning you're free to do what you love to do, and I'm free to do what I love to do, but let's not try to jam it down each other's throats. And that's what brings
Yeah.
culture. I mean, that's what that diversity of it brings, makes it this inviting place to be. So from Circle K coffee to a global
Gastronomic.
gastronomic. You know, I told you several times last night, I'm just a simple salesman.
Yeah, right.
Gastronomic.
It's a big $10
So,
word.
so was there coffee in Wilcox? Did you grow your own maybe?
We didn't grow our own coffee, corn, wheat, and barley, no coffee. I doubt there was coffee. Well, there's probably coffee at the local market. Yeah,
And you brewed it probably on an open fire, right?
definitely.
Don't they call that cowboy coffee?
Yeah, it's cowboy coffee.
Yes, actually, cup of coffee's good.
Mhm.
And so, you now live in Mesa, and I know you're working on a place in Payson. So, what do you think what's different? I mean, so you, from when you started even in real estate, you were a salesperson. What were you before that? I never asked that.
Lots of things, yeah. Did a lot of some marketing for a company and worked in my husband's business, and so I've...
Her husband's really cool.
Yeah, he is. I've had my license for 24 years, sold for 18, and been in this position with, Rosey asked me about 7 years ago if I would consider taking this job, and no one tells Rosey no, so...
And no
That's
one,
not true.
and no one told you it was basically like babysitting big kids.
The
right?
beautiful thing about my job...
Just segueing.
I'm segueing into something cooler. The beautiful thing about my job is that when I sold real estate, I had lots of clients. So 18 years of clients, you meet people. When I work with our franchises in our organization, I not only have all of our amazing owner brokers, people who truly care about the business, about their agents, about providing education, but I also get to play with 450 agents that are in our franchise association. We have about 1,000 in our corporate offices, and I know so many of them, but I've developed relationships with people that I would never met throughout the state because of our company covers all of Arizona. So that's probably been one of the beautiful things about being in this position. Another thing is that I love Arizona about is that so you can be in Scottsdale and go, you know, Snotscale, is that what you call it?
Snotsdale, yes, where you need to have work done before you go to lunch. And I heard you guys went to True Food.
We did. It was amazing.
Rosie actually commented on that last night.
Yeah.
I won't say all what she said about it, but I'm just
But you know, talking about the diversity of Arizona, the reality is that you could be in, what you call it, Snotsdale?
Yeah.
And going to the grocery store, and you could be standing behind a person who has a revolver on his or
Open
her,
carry, yes.
his or her hip.
Yes.
So there is, the diversity goes from, you know, this cowboy, I'm going to do whatever the heck I want to do, to, you know, being totally engaged in the community. So it's pretty
From
wonderful.
old pickup trucks to
Yeah.
Maseratis or Ferraris.
Yeah.
I think that is also what makes it a fabulous place to live. So as you two have seen the real estate industry, you know, right now, Rosie really had a phenomenal presentation today talking about relationships, and I know in our brokerage we talk about relationships. It isn't about transactions. And as the market shifted, and now we're, as you said, shuffling the cards, and I think it was very relevant to say that real estate agents have no control over the stats. You know, we don't set, a house will sell what the market will bear, sell for what the market will bear. But there's so much misinformation or sensationalized information about what's happening in the real estate market. So what's that one calming piece for someone coming in? And we have a Facebook group, private group that has about 17,000 members on it that's called Moving to Arizona Outreach. You know. But everyone comes in going, I thought I was going to buy a cheap house, and this is crazy.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
what's your advice to people when they think about moving in from another state? And do I rent? Do I own? Gosh, I don't know what to do. Where should I be? I mean, it's
Well, it's,
Well,
yeah, first of all, my first set of advice would be really do assessment on your own family or your own situation. You know, where are you at? You know, are you only going to be in the Phoenix marketplace for 2 years because you just came here for a new job and you may be leaving? You know, are you moving your whole entire family here? You know, so you really need to assess your own individual family goals. And then after that, start asking questions. You know, ask difficult questions. Push your realtor to really be able to explain to you the advantages and disadvantages of something. Don't count, I mean, yes, national real estate portals where you can search for properties it's really fun. You can get to see really sexy houses or not sexy houses, and it's really good. But that's not reality. It is not reality, because the information that's fed up to those national portals is delayed because they have to be dependent upon the tax revenues. Whereas Long Realty or Jasper Associates website, that's updated every 5 minutes or instantaneously, and so the data is really very, very relevant. But I would say challenge your realtor. Challenge your realtor to be able to explain what's the pros and the cons of buying or not buying, or selling, not selling, and the areas and the neighborhoods. This is a big investment. Be serious about it and make sure that you're working with people who you know you can resonate with and trust.
I agree. You know, people moving to Arizona, I was going to bring this up in a different context, but Ann, you know, Rosey was telling us her songbird story or whatever it was. But you know, when people move to Arizona, you know, one of the things they say is, don't Californiaize our Arizona. And when we move to a different state, I guess it isn't just Arizona, we need to adapt, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because we're not, you know, we don't get rain 360 days a year, so get rid of the umbrella. Don't hope it's going to rain. Don't try to make it rain, because it probably isn't going to rain. But, you know, that story, lead into that a little bit.
Absolutely. I see on your Facebook page people talk about the heat. You know, they moved to Arizona and they weren't sure about the heat. So yes, you have to make some changes or adapt in a certain way. And one of the things that came up this morning, it's a favorite story that Rosey shared with us many years ago, and it resonates with me constantly. I find it in my head when I'm challenged or feel, you know, what should I do here? Rosey, would you mind sharing this
Sure.
fabulous story?
So this is an event that changed my life. I was traveling in the Galapagos Islands, and I'll tell you, if anyone ever has the opportunity to go to the Galapagos, you need to do that. You need to do that.
I can't spell Galapagos.
I can barely say it.
Yeah. So I was traveling with National Geographic and the scientists, and they would do these presentations every night or every morning about what we were going to see. And on the last day, the scientists gave a presentation about Charles Darwin and how Charles Darwin would come from England and move into the Galapagos Islands, and he did it for like over a 30-year period of time. And what he and his wife were doing as they stayed in very rustic situations were studying finches, the Darwin finches. And if you have a moment to Google that, you'll pull up very quickly a photograph that is placed in a science book of 4 different finches. And the finches, it was Charles Darwin was studying the evolution of these finches. Now, the evolution of the finches came about with, sometimes there would be a rainy season in the Galapagos, and so that finch would end up evolving to a very short, very easy to get into the grasses and the whatever. And then there would be a drought over a long period of time, and that finch would actually evolve where their beak would then be extended quite long and pointed so that it could poke through the dry earth to get to their food. When you think about that it's really very impactful, because if a bird can change and evolve to adapt to the environment that they're in, that we as humans with free will should be able to do that with ease. It's a matter of choice, and it's a matter of taking responsibility for yourselves. And I'll give a real estate related story with that. There was a large group move from Los Angeles to Tucson, Pima County area several years ago. And so our agents would be at the airport and pick these folks up and start touring property. And one of the first questions they asked is, well, where is the amusement park? Well, there is
Where's Mickey?
There is no amusement park.
You drive to Disney, right?
It's like, well then, what are we going to do? Well, okay, we have the beauty of the desert. You can hike. You can, you can engage with the community. You don't necessarily need an amusement park in your life. The world is the amusement park. So, whatever your situation is, that idea that you can evolve and adapt to the community where you can flourish and thrive and enjoy life.
Well, and I think Wilcox is a prime example in a way. So if you drive past it,
Yeah.
and I've got a good friend of mine who owns a little ranch out there. And I know when I went out to visit, it was like, gosh, I hope my car can make it through the rocks, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Wild, Wild West.
And then, you get up to the warehouses and the views, it was like unbelievable. And then you talk about the wine and all the other things that they're not commercialized. It isn't like you said, let's go to Wally World. And it is an adaptation to not necessarily looking for the negatives in where you live, but what's the new adventures. Right. And to me, Arizona is a state of untapped adventures. I mean, what's the goof, the pretty rock things, where the
Sedona?
No, well, Sedona's pretty, but the wavy ones,
Antelope
that people got to
Canyon?
hike in. What is it?
Antelope.
Slot Canyon.
Oh,
Antelope Canyon.
Yeah.
See, Jasmine is